Lightning like Steve McQueen. I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Morning Show, the top morning show in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines and, most importantly, provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. I also have a twice-a-week long-form podcast that drops, Coffee with the Freight Coach, on Tuesdays and Fridays. I just dropped a brand new episode with my friend Dean Croak with DAT, and we broke down the 2023 freight market and strategy and everything of what you guys should be prepared for with that. But as always, you guys, like, this is a real side of freight, okay? Like, there's no theory on any of this stuff. Anybody who's on my show is active in the day-to-day. They have real companies. They're real people that have been in this industry, and we are here to provide insight for you to utilize and apply and see meaningful difference in your life. I believe in that value exchange and stuff out there. You know, obviously, guys, it's no surprise to you. It's one of the many reasons why I proudly fly the American flag behind me, because not only are we the greatest nation on earth, I'm living my American dream, and everybody else is too. And we want to help everybody live their American dream. So that's what we're going to put out there and continue to put out there, rolling into the new year. Yeah, because we're not going to fucking stop, you guys. Like, we're on an absolute upward trajectory, and we're not going to stop next year. We're going to go harder, because next year is going to be fucking amazing. Before we jump into any of that, I got to give a shout out to my friends over at VHub. You guys, vhubapp.com. Whether you're a broker, carrier, or a shipper, we all need access to trailers at some point in time. And especially for my owner ops and my small fleets out there, you get paid to move these trailers. All right. This is on top of the revenue that you get by loading these trailers out. So they got a couple of them up there with my friends up in the Great North, Milton, Ontario, going to Montreal, Quebec, 250 Canadian for that reefer. They also have a drive-in in Galt, California. They then moved out to Hutchins, Texas. You get paid $500 to do that. And again, you guys, that's on top of the revenue. And then they also this is a brand new one, Winnipeg, Manitoba, going to Vaughan, Ontario. You get paid 500 Canadian to move that. And then finally, they got West Valley City, Utah, going up to Calgary, Alberta, and you get paid $15.50 to do that. So hit them up, you guys, vhubapp.com. My man Xavier Campos and my friend Stacy Steen, they'll be in the audience. Just as I always, do me a favor, let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. They help keep this neon light on. Caroline Lyle, what's up? Happy New Year's Eve. Nathan Granada, good fucking morning to you too, sir. Thanks for joining in. Andre Stewart, I appreciate that. Thank you, and Happy New Year to you as well. My man Vitaly Becker, repping the maple leaf up there with the bald eagle, a little U.S.-Canadian relations there. What's up, V? April Maroney, good fucking morning to you, and Happy New Year's Eve as well. Let's finish strong. Louie, what's up, my man? Good morning. Thanks for joining. Stephen Peterson, good morning. Denise Favor, what's up? Good morning. Happy New Year's Eve. Whitney Young, what is up? My Southern brother, he says. I love it. Thanks for joining in here. He's over on YouTube, you guys. Chris Westling, good morning. Eric Hamilton, good morning. Big things are coming. All right. Damn, comments are blowing up. It's a fucking lively show today, you guys. I love it. All right, I'm going to bring my man up here. He's going to join me to close out the year. My buddy Kyle Provost, my business partner and broker carrier. He's coming to shoot the shit today, you guys. What's up, dude?
Hey, good morning, buddy. It's really good to see you.
Dude, good to see you. Well,
a little
man.
far from the camera here, huh?
Yeah, it's all good.
Not good at this like you.
Kyle's just living his beach life right now. He's got the Hawaiian shirt on, man. He's living on the beach somewhere.
It's casual Friday at Broker Carrier. That's right.
Yeah, I know. That's why I wear an orange shirt only on Fridays and every other day that ends in Y, because it's casual day. Oh, man. Yeah, Vitaly loves it. He says, what a shirt.
Yeah, it's technically a golf shirt from Wild Creek Golf Club, but it has such a Hawaiian vibe. I was like, I have to have it. I never buy anything in the pro shop, but this is like, gotta have it.
They don't even allow me in a pro shop, bro. Like they take one look at me. They're like, your nickname Slice. All right. We need to take out an insurance policy before you even touch and get out on the course. Yeah. So dude, what's going on, man? Well, hold on. We got some more. Aaron, 2023 is best yet to come. Happy New Year's. Sean, you are right. It's the last show of the year. Let's fucking go. Sonny Sharma, good fucking morning and Happy New Year's Eve to you. Dorian Acosta, hello, freight carriers and freight coach. Thanks for joining. Erica Hamilton says, woot. Sean, what's up? Good morning to you. Tracy O. St. Clair, good morning. Damn, dude, it's blowing up today. Sean, he says, get it, Kyle. Dude, it's a vibe, man. It's a vibe. You just do that. Sergio Uribe, Happy New Year in 2023, 1 year at a time. So, dude, this is an interesting year this year, and 2023 is going to be an interesting year as well because it's completely back to the way it is. And if you look at how most historical freight cycles are operating, it's that 18 to 20 month thing. And that's what happened when rates skyrocketed in late 2020. It lasted all through 2021 and the first part of 2022. And then things started to taper. And I think people, rest assured, you're about halfway through what a normal market turn looks like. So next year, I think at some point, my prediction is at some point industry headlines are going to start reading tender rejections at an all-time high. And the narrative's going to flip and they're going to try and paint that what the hell's going on in the world mentality when that's just what happens because everybody went in, they rebid their freight. Contracted rates are going to be down year over year because obviously nobody's going to pay a premium with capacity being what it is right now. And people are going to find themselves at some point, in my opinion, next year where the spot market rates and the contract rates are going to be kind of close and they're going to roll the dice and see whatever one they can make more money on.
Yeah, it's what it's looking like, and the freight market is not unique in this dynamic that if there's more service capacity, and I know in the freight market uses the word capacity specifically to refer to trucks. So when there's more capacity compared to the volume of freight that needs to be shipped, that drives you into price competition. And then when there's less capacity compared to the volume of freight that needs to be shipped, that drives the carriers into quality of service competition. One of the articles you had as preview before this, the one that Eric Johnson wrote for Journal of Commerce, really touches on that very well. That the cycle was definitely perturbed by the COVID pandemic, by the extreme circumstances of that, which caused the market to go to a huge volume spike pretty much overnight. But as it settles back into this new cycle, I wouldn't anticipate there being a reverse move or an equal reaction to the COVID pandemic. I think it's going to flatten out and settle into a nice normal market for us here in 2023.
Yeah, I agree with that. I personally think that it's back to operating and in there. And I think like this is why everybody who, again, when it's easy in business, like you see a massive influx of people who come in, because you can make a lot of money quick. And then when the market turns, like this isn't a deterrent. Like I want people to understand, like, the way that you are operating, it's going to be different in the sense of like, you're still going to find customers. You're still going to find business. It's just going to be back to the pre-levels of, the last couple of years where you're going to have to work really hard to earn their business. And when, like, again, everybody talks about the transparency and the communication and everything else. And this is where your books of business are built on, is in these markets, because you work so hard to get a customer. You're going to do everything to protect that customer. Because you don't want to go back out there and have to start over from scratch all over again. And the problem when business is easy is, I think that people can call and you get set up active, and then you just think that that's the way it is. So like when there's a market shift, you think that customers are recyclable because you've been able to kind of like, if somebody shut you off for a service failure, you were able to find another one because capacity was in such dire need over these past 2 years, where now it's not going to be that way. I'm not saying that you're not going to be able to find business, because you will be able to find business, but what value are you going to continuously add to your customer to keep that business? Because like one call closes are not going to happen, Yeah.
No. And this, a normal, difficult market where you have to actually work for a living, it really shows us the intersection between sales and marketing. You have to differentiate from your competitors. What do you do better? How are you going to show that you care more? It's back to the grindstone of taking care of your customers, keeping them feeling reassured at all times. And a big part of that is why we see this rush into visibility, why that's the hottest buzzword, because that's that's the most easily identifiable trust factor or ease of mind factor for your customers, right?
Yeah.
You know, the work is going to get harder. It's certainly gotten harder for us. I mean, we picked up more new customers during the second half of 2020 and the first half of 2021 than if you take the 3 years we've been in business now, that 1 year span, we picked up more customers than we have in the other 2 years combined.
Yeah.
Right? So the volume spike affected everybody. Everyone thought there was opportunity in every corner of every market. People were going out and picking up SaaS products and committing to business expenses, thinking that they were on this ever rising tide. And now that circumstance has changed, and the overall volume of commerce that's going on is reducing as we enter what is very clearly a recession here in the U.S. You're right. It's going to get back to the basics of talk to people, make deals, make sure you always treat everyone fairly, keep your customers feeling reassured, keep trust at the forefront of your priorities, because that's how those relationships last. And that's how you get through the difficult times until some other crazy thing happens in a few years and we get another super frothy high volume market. Who knows, right?
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. And Chris Wessling, will it be the year of the AI apps to set a foothold in brokerage?
No.
I don't think so at all. I'm right there with Kyle on this. I think that, you know, to toot our own horn a little bit with what we've built at Broker Carrier and like the additions that we're going to be rolling out here early next year is, you know, your technology. And this is our thing. We're not here to replace anybody. We're here to enhance. We're here to optimize your operations is what we're here to do, to where you can get that much more, where you can keep your head count and you can win more business and continue to grow with that. You know, like that's what technology is supposed to be there for. Automation should be there to help elevate your game. It's not here to replace anything, especially not a Broker Carrier. If anything, it's going to help you book more consistent freight. It's going to help you reload more and more trucks, build core carrier relationships, which we all know leads to more customer business, you know? And then this, you're not going to be scrambling around through 15 different things, trying to notify a couple of carriers. It's one click of a button and boom, you're going to get out there. You're going to increase your load coverage this way, you know? And Nathan Granada, he brings up, you know, Cassandra with Carrier Assure. You know, she's got another phenomenal platform that she's built up to help you book the right carriers for the right freight and everything. So again, I think it's utilizing your technology to maximize your return with it, you know, and actually optimizing your operation.
Yeah, absolutely. And to speak to Chris's question about AI, you know, fully automated digital carrier matching is something that many companies have been attempting for several years, and they've burned through a lot of investor capital doing it. But at the end of the day, an algorithm can't make a judgment call.
Yeah,
you know, only a person can do that. And you mentioned Cassandra Gaines's product, Carrier Assure. I think, in my opinion, that is the best product of its type that has ever existed, because it goes right up to the exact spot that technology should. It gives you the most thorough, most accurate, most narrative dense information that you can get about a carrier that you don't know. But you got to take it over from there and talk to that carrier and make a judgment call, right? If you trust an AI to do that for you, you find out real quick what that bond was for. Yeah.
That's very sure. That's very true. Rick Wooten, Happy New Year. Good morning. Thank you for joining in, sir. Sonny, thank you so much for the shout out as always. You guys, if you guys want feedback, Sonny is a user of ours at Broker Carrier. If you guys want to learn more about it, you know, because again, you can listen to me talk about it all the time, but you know, our users are our best.
If you go to our website and watch our demo, the example load in the demo video is one of Sonny's, one that he runs multiple times a week.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Well, dude, let's get to an article. I think that this one is going to take up a little bit of time here. And I want to talk about this because, you know, it was written by FreightWaves and it was broker oversight, truck speed limiters among 2023 policy action items. Regulatory and legislative changes will be aimed at reducing crashes. The Biden administration began 2022 by rolling out its national roadway safety strategy. The Department of Transportation's wide initiative aimed at addressing rising injuries and deaths involving cars and trucks. The FMCSA in Congress is expected to advance regulatory and legislative policy that either directly or indirectly attempts to tackle the problem. So let's start with their first one, truck parking. With Republicans taking control of the House, a divided government, I love that little put in there, a divided government will make it more difficult to pass many types of legislation next year, but legislation setting up grants to expand truck parking has gained momentum over the last 2 congressional sessions, and that momentum is expected to continue, particularly after the Senate introduced a companion legislation earlier this month. Truck parking bills, like all bills that didn't progress in the current Congress, will have to be reintroduced, but truck parking advocates, which include large and small carriers as well as shippers, will be looking to build on recent progress. What are your thoughts on this, on legislation aimed at this? Because I know down here in Arizona, Senator Mark Kelly has pretty much been involved in the truck parking bill and everything out there. So I think like it does have more bipartisan support that's out there, which is good. Like, I think that for me personally, with my tax dollars reinvesting into our infrastructure in our country, 100% agree with. Like, I want, this should pass. Like, I don't know why that this wouldn't pass.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine what the motivations or justifications would be for opposing this, regardless of party, regardless of what state a representative comes from. Trucking and the movement of goods throughout the U.S. economy is equally important to everyone.
Yeah.
And it has become abundantly clear that the treatment of truck drivers and their access to normal human amenities while they're doing their work is ignored.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that's
drivers don't get treated well. I mean, we're up to 190 days in a row that at least someone has reported that they dropped off somewhere that wouldn't let them use the bathroom.
Yeah.
I mean, so to have legislation come about that would perhaps not. I mean, you can't force shippers and receivers to let somebody use their bathroom. That's not how that's going to work.
Correct.
But legislation can fund project initiatives to build new rest areas, to build truck-specific rest areas, to pay security people.
Yeah.
I don't see a reason why we shouldn't have at least twice as many truck stops in this country. And if a couple hundred of them need to be directly government funded just to get that initiative out there and get that working, then that's what we got to do. I definitely think that this needs to pass. There needs to be funding for projects that develop amenities for truck drivers. But everything I'm seeing right now is that it's only in the preliminary sort of motivational phase. We know we need to do this. We know something needs to be done, but there's no concrete plans have been put forward yet. So I would love to see what those look like before I'm ready to run out and vote for it. But if it involves a large amount of funding for highway infrastructure and additional areas for truckers to rest and recharge their batteries, then you got my vote all day.
Yeah.
And I hope my representative feels the same way.
Well, no, that's exactly it. And, because they also talk about this in this article about the restroom access. They bring it up that another bill was introduced in there. And then, you brought up infrastructure funding as well. And grant funding from the infrastructure bill will continue to benefit trucking in 2023 as they begin to strengthen after being overwhelmed by the pandemic. With some committees in the House, Republican-led House, have threatened to block some of the social justice and climate-oriented priorities associated with the funding. I believe we're going to see is the money to fund the projects will continue to alleviate backlogs we've particularly seen at the ports, and then easing supply chain congestions at the port in California provides far beyond California. So, again, it's going to be one of those situations that, when it comes to like the infrastructure bill, the portion of it for me that is actually used for our infrastructure, like actually for our infrastructure, not all the other crap that they're talking about in there, because there's a large portion of it that is not benefiting our infrastructure at all. And that's what I don't agree with on it. But if it's there to create American jobs, to improve our infrastructure, to keep people employed, and to make us make our ports more efficient and more effective and everything, like, I'm all for that. Like, I'm not obviously the fan of big government at all. I don't want them to tell me what to do or anything, or anybody what to do at that matter. But when it comes to my tax dollars, as long as my tax dollars are being reinvested into our country to improve our country, our way of life, and especially our industry, because the infrastructure of our country directly affects the trucking industry, that's what I want to see our money reinvested in.
Yeah, I fully agree. Our interstate highways are generally in okay shape, but they could be maintained better.
Yes.
And then state highways are a gamble.
Yeah.
I live in Nevada, very close to the border of California. It's a 6-mile drive. And when you cross that border and go past that sign that says "Welcome to California," the quality of the road drops drastically. You go from a smooth blacktop freeway to a road with so many potholes it'll rattle your teeth out in a 10-foot span. Right. And I can't imagine doing that while I'm driving a truck with 40, 80,000 pounds of cargo in it. So if there was a way to federalize highways, I don't see how it could ever be done, because there's already a federal highway system and then there are state level highway systems. But the quality of roads throughout the country is something that's almost in dire shape now. The quality of bridges is definitely in dire shape. I mean, we've got one right here in town that needs to be replaced in the next 3 years. And we have our nation's truckers out driving ever increasing pressure to make fast deliveries, driving these huge trucks with huge heavy cargo on these unpredictable roads. And, I think if a lot of investment was made into the roads and the bridges and the infrastructure that drivers have to transport goods on, maybe we won't need to worry about silly things like speed limiters and ID trackers for trucks, right?
Yeah, and we're going to lead in with that right now. Again, they're talking about speed limiters. I think speed limiters are an absolute joke, okay? Like, I thought that's what a speed limit was for. Now, I understand if we're putting out studies based on giving companies information that, hey, if you self-impose a speed limit for your drivers at 65, here's the fuel savings, here's the maintenance savings, and everything else. I just don't feel like speed limiters are a good idea at all. I think it's an honest way overreach that's out there, and it's not required at all. Like, because at the end of the day, and I'm so firm on my stance on this, because the articles that I've read about this, all of the insurance companies that are talking about this had no data that said that there would be less deaths. There was not one form of information. And again, if somebody has that form of information out here and can actually bring tangible information to the table to talk about this, arguing in favor of speed limiters and how it does make our roads safer, I'm all ears. I'm an adult. I would love to talk about that. I'm not here to argue with anybody, but I haven't found it. And again, I feel like that's what speed limits are there for.
Yeah. Well, and the funny thing is, I've been driving on this nation's highway since 2001, and I can't think of one time I ever saw a professional trucker speeding.
Yeah.
And plus, and Vitali's right there. A lot of trucks already do have governors on them, but that's imposed by insurance companies, not by the law. But to just make this blanket requirement across the board, you could tell that this is just careless bureaucrat thing, right? I've spent 9 total years of my life working for the government, 6 in the military and 3 in the civil service. And I've seen exactly how these policies come about like this. Some bigwig, very, very high up in the DOT, thinks that this plan sounds really organized and really simple and it's going to work great, but they're only looking at it from that high altitude view. They're not down there in the cab of a truck with an emergency situation where they need to be able to floor it and perhaps go about 70 miles an hour for a few seconds, right? You put a governor on their truck when they can't do that, well, you might have just gotten a trucker killed.
Yeah. No, it's very true. And
I don't like I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, in Vitaly, that's what it is it's a lot of companies that self-impose it. And again, if a company chooses to do that, I'm not opposed to that, because it's a business's just right to make that decision in that moment. A lot of it is at the guidance of their insurance companies and everything else. But yeah, I for me, I'm right there with you, Kyle, on that. I'm right there with you with what you're going to say. Sorry to cut you off there.
Oh, it's okay. I was done.
Oh, okay. Now, on to wireless IDs. 1,000% against it. 1,000% against any form of digital ID for anything in this country at all. 100% against it.
Yeah, well, that's another one where some bureaucrat thinks that sounds really simple and organized and it looks great on paper, but to implement it in practice will be a disaster.
Yeah, I mean,
and to have, they're talking about, like, it wouldn't just collect the information that an ELD collects. I mean, it would be a unique identity for a relationship between a driver and a truck, right? So like if you've got the same truck, the same vehicle, there's going to be one UUID. That stands for universally unique ID. It's the format that they would use for these things. There would be one unique ID that identifies the pairing of, driver A is driving this truck. And then there would be a different UUID if driver B was driving this truck. So now they're talking about making this data public, like they've never heard of theft rings before. You would be handing people all of the information that they need to go out and chase particular trucks from particular shippers. And then we would have like Fast and the Furious nonsense going on in real life.
Yes.
I mean, they need to scrap this thing quick. If you want a flawless example of how to waste money, here's one.
Correct. I don't even need to add anything to that. 100% agree. Now the last one that we're going to tackle, broker oversight. So a little teaser, I'll be releasing a podcast about this. Yes, Nathan, exactly. I'll be releasing a podcast on this particular topic here in not next week, but the following week. And we're going to talk about this, because the FMCSA is trying to crack down on illegal brokers by attempting to clarify the differences between brokers, bona fide agents, and dispatch services through interim guidelines. Congress wants the FMCSA to finalize those guidelines no later than June of next year. So rest assured, we won't see anything on this in 2023 if they're giving them until June. So realistically, it'll be 2025 before anything's on the docket. And the directive also requires the FMCSA to identify safety concerns arising from unlawful brokerage activities. The focus on brokerage activities comes as reports of double brokering and other illegal activities persist. We're hearing more and more about this from our members, says Louis Pugh, who is with the OIDA. Broker fraud has really taken off. We try to tell the truckers to get their loads directly from a trusted broker load board to help ensure they are legitimate. You want to know what this sounds like? The FMCSA's problem to fix. All right. Because when it comes down to it, the FMCSA, in my opinion, when you are titled the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, you should be responsible for the oversight of anybody who operates inside of this industry. And if people are reincarnated, and again, this is the same to the carriers out there, like circle back to the case of the driver who his brakes fried driving down in Colorado this summer and hit and killed people. That company reincarnated the next day. You guys, that's a major issue. And I think that's what leads to double brokering, is because as soon as they're caught, they can fucking reincarnate the next day and be operating the exact same way with different email addresses and everything else. And they're not doing their job. All right. I think the FMCSA, and I will say this, Chris Jolly says that the FMCSA needs to fucking step their game up to work on this, because this is punishing the lawful, law-abiding citizens who are trying to work and build their companies up and do this. All right. Because if they'd made it more challenging for people to, like, you can literally sign up for an MC this afternoon and be able to start doing stuff, like that something needs to happen. To me, do your job.
Yeah. I mean, that very well said. It's an issue of they've made it too easy to obtain all the permissions to operate as a freight broker.
Yeah.
So, this is one of those instances where when the scammers are able to infiltrate an industry, you have to raise the barrier to entry. You have to raise the standards. Maybe the bond requirement needs to be more than 75,000 now.
Yeah.
You need to stop accepting Gmail addresses as official contact information in DOT records.
Because
you can apply a few filters to this.
Yeah.
And somebody in the comments is mentioning the Patriot Act. Well, that's why you have to prove where you live to open a bank account. How about we have to prove that you have an office with a U.S. address before you can get broker authority? That would cut out 3/4 of double brokers right there.
Yeah. Because I'm right there with you. And again, I want to be clear. I understand that there are phenomenal dispatch companies that are out there. All right. I just ask that if you are going to be put in the transaction of there, that you need to be held to the exact same standards that a broker are. All right. That's all I'm asking. It's like, even if it's carrying a bond or something like that. And again, we go in depth on this on the podcast. So you guys are going to want to hear this one because I know that there are some very good there are some very good companies that are out there and they're operating. Again, the good providers are the ones who suffer in these instances. All right. And to me personally, it's something that if you're going to be involved in the freight transaction at all, again, I think all brokers should by law should be required to carry cargo insurance. Might be an unpopular opinion for some people, but I don't fucking care. I agree. I truly feel that way. I truly feel that way.
That's a perfect way to raise the standard, make it a little harder to become a broker, right? Because you're going to eliminate scammers when they see that it's much more expensive to get in the door now. Yeah. It's a great idea.
Yeah, man. Dude. Well, that was a quick 30, you guys. That was a quick 30 minutes. And we're, I want to be mindful. It's the holiday weekend. I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to go out and party and enjoy yourselves. And, at the end of the day, you guys, I can't thank you guys all enough for the support that you guys are continuously showing. Like everything is growing at an exponential rate because of each and every one of you. I'm very, very, very grateful for each and every one of you who come in and listen to this show. A couple of years ago, you guys, I did this out of my fucking bedroom. All right. I started this on a dream and a hope, and things are coming true. And it's because of each and every one of you who are out there supporting the show, sharing the show, all of that stuff. I can't say thank you guys enough. I love you guys for that. I'm forever grateful for that. Have a happy new year. Be safe out there, for fuck's sakes. Call an Uber or a Lyft. Don't be an amateur. Don't be an idiot. Be safe out there. Enjoy this time. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon. Hawaii.